Hello and welcome. You're watching Asia Business Report on BBC World News. I'm Rico Hizon. A lengthy labor dispute on the west coast of the United States is disrupting trade across the Pacific. Some 29 ports are nearly at gridlock as container ships queue up to be loaded and unloaded. Among those affected are Japan's major car makers who can't get parts to their U.S. factories. Let's speak now to the chairman of the American Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong, Peter Levesque. He's also the Chief Commercial Officer for Modern Terminals, which runs a container terminal in Hong Kong. Mr. Levesque, thank you so much for joining us on Asia Business Report. Are you starting to see the problem in the U.S. West Coast ports having an impact on the Hong Kong ports?
We're not really seeing much of an impact yet in Hong Kong, Rico, but the more ships that get tied up on the U.S. West Coast, obviously that capacity will be unavailable to come to Asia Pacific. But you know, this situation's been going on for 9 months now in increasing intensity. And the last time we saw anything like this was back in 2002 when President Bush had to invoke Taft-Hartley basically to get the ports moving again. And that was after a 10-day lockout at a cost of about $1 billion a day.
So do you see this problem extending any longer? And if it does, when do you think will this have an impact on Asia's ports?
Well, as far as it going on any longer, the White House has sent Labor Secretary Perez to the West Coast to talk with the Pacific Maritime Association and the ILWU to try to move negotiations along. The question is, what can the Labor Secretary do that federal mediators haven't already thought of or haven't already tried? So it's yet to be seen whether they'll be able to move things forward a little bit quicker now with his arrival. As far as the impact to Asia Pacific, farmers and agricultural product exporters from the United States are certainly being impacted. We could see a shortage of those types of items here in Asia Pacific as a result of delays on the West Coast.
Because, Mr. Levesque, 70% of America's imports come from Asia. And if you don't use these West Coast ports and use either the East Coast ports through the Panama Canal, this will definitely double the cost.
It certainly does, and about 43% of all container traffic in the United States is on the U.S. West Coast, and they handle about 12.5% of U.S. GDP. What carriers are doing on this side is they're deploying smaller ships, 5,000 TEU ships, that can access the Panama Canal and bring cargo to the U.S. East Coast. The problem for importers in the United States is that almost doubles the transit time. It can take almost 30 days to get from Hong Kong to New York. And if you're running a just-in-time inventory, those kind of delays can be very, very costly.
Mr. Levesque, thank you so much for joining us on Asia Business Report. Peter Levesque is from the American Chamber of Commerce based in Hong Kong.